Hey, welcome to the Relentless Positivity Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Martin, and my guest today is Liam Naden. He's a speaker, he's a teacher, he's a writer, a podcast host, a researcher, a marriage coach, and recently he just completed an 8-year sailing trip on his yacht. So clearly he can speak on any number of subjects, but today he's going to teach us more about the brain. Liam, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Joe. Thanks very much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Oh, man, you're a master of all of those trades right there. That's a lot of stuff you've done in your life. So, all of it gets back to the brain though. So let's just get right into this thing. So there's 4 parts of the brain, and how do they all work together to give us the results we want out of life?
Well, I think here's the thing we've all forgotten. And, I've spent decades really chasing after success and trying to figure out why our life is the way it is. Because I think it's easy for us to look at our life and think, well, I work hard and things happen, and they're all the result of me working hard. And when I do the right things, I get good results. And if I set the right goals and I work towards things work out well in my life. But that isn't actually what happens. If you really think a little bit deeper for a few seconds later, what you realize is that while you're busy trying to make your life work and get things to happen in your life and create goals, stuff shows up. We have problems that we can't solve. We have good things that happen to us unexpectedly. Often we meet somebody unexpectedly, completely out of the blue, and they end up being the person we marry. Or we have a business opportunity or a career opportunity that comes along, and we go, we don't know quite how it happened. So what I realized after years of studying and trying to figure out and doing all sorts of things, from goal setting and motivation and learning all these different techniques and, visualizing and changing your beliefs and all of these self-help things that we've heard about and maybe even tried, and even all the things to do with religion and spirituality like prayer and meditation. What I realized after all of these things is that none of them were actually really where you get the results that you do. In other words, they're not really what creates success or failure, or they're not really what makes your life turn out the way it does. And the way I really learned this was because I went from being a millionaire, really successful on the outside and a real student of success, and, knowing all of these things and having my own business and doing really well. I went from that to literally overnight becoming homeless, losing absolutely everything. And that's what made me realize that there was something out of my control that I hadn't figured out. And no matter how much I visualized, and of course I didn't want it to happen, but it did happen. So the thing that I'd really missed was that there's a natural flow to life. There's a natural order to life. And it really puzzled me why I'd missed it, because it's so obvious. You look around nature and you realize nature, firstly, we're a part of nature. And secondly, nature controls everything. You try and stop breathing. You try and stop your heart beating. You try and walk off a 10-story building and go and fly up in the air. Now, no matter how well you think, or how motivated you are, or how much you pray, or how much you change your beliefs, all of those things are out of your control. You're going to be determined by natural laws that govern everything. And when I went from being homeless and losing everything and then rebuilding my life, what I noticed was things went in a completely different direction, in a much better way, where I wasn't struggling to succeed, but all of these things that you might call luck and coincidence, but there are a lot of really good things, miracles, that started showing up in my life. And I thought, you mentioned at the beginning that I sailed around Europe for 8 years on a yacht. Now I'm currently traveling around Europe in a motorhome. And all of these things, they were never on my goals list. And I thought, why is all this happening to me? And what I wanted to know was, in particular, not only why is this happening to me, why is this so good? And how do I make sure that I keep doing it, that I keep getting the really good results in my life, rather than getting into the situation that I had before, where things ended up where I lost everything. And what I'd forgotten was this whole biological thing. And I started to research and say, who are we biologically? Is there something going on that creates the results in our life, that gives us what we want, or conversely, what we don't want. Is there a biological aspect to it? And what I realized, of course, and through researching and studying this more, is that there is actually an overriding principle or law of life, or a structure to life, that we are governed by absolutely ahead of everything else. And that is, every living thing is biologically wired and designed to survive. That's the number one priority that every living thing has. And for us as humans, and for all living things, what that means is that biology is designed to make sure that everything is the best that it can be, so that it has the greatest chance for survival. That's what everything is wired to be the best that it can be. And of course, for humans, that means being happy as well. When we're the best that we can be, we're not just healthier physically, but we're also mentally and emotionally stronger and better as well. So we're all designed to be the best that we can be. All of nature is. And nature has provided a mechanism, a tool, because it wouldn't make sense if that was our purpose for living, that was our overwhelming structure and desire, if nature hadn't provided something to make sure that happens. And nature has provided something. It's provided a machine, a simple machine designed for one thing, to make sure that you survive for as long as possible by being the best that you can be. That's what this machine is designed to do. It's to make sure you have the best life possible, so you have the greatest chance for survival. And that machine, of course, is a brain. Every living thing has been given this machine with one purpose: to help and ensure that that organism survives. So the question became, when I started to research this, okay, I need to understand about the brain. I need to understand how this machine works, because I started to think about what machines do. And there's a couple of things about machines that the brain is identical to any other machine. Firstly, it's what I mentioned before. It has a single purpose. Like a car, a motor car, that's a machine. It has one purpose. Its purpose is to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And you don't doubt that it's going to do it. That's what it's designed to do. It's going to do it predictably, reliably, and it's going to be an enjoyable trip for you. You don't have to worry about it and try and think about it all the time. So just like a car, though, the brain being a machine, what is the cause of problems? If it's designed to make us the best that we can be and have a really fulfilling, enriching, rewarding life, being happy, why are we not? Why do we have problems? Why do we have stress in our life? Well, it's a bit like any other machine, again, like the motor car. There can only be one logical reason why we have problems, or why anything creates problems. Any machine creates problems, and that is, it's not being used the right way. If you use a motor car the wrong way, you're going to end up with problems. It's not going to do its job. It's not going to get you to where you want to go. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be predictable. If you put the wrong fuel in, or if you're sitting at the controls and you don't know what to do, so you might leave the handbrake on, or you don't put it in gear, and you're confused and you're stressed and you're thinking, why isn't this working? And what's that noise? And why isn't it working? So this is the thing about the brain. Your brain is simply a machine designed to make you the best that you can be. It will do it predictably, reliably, and give you what you're supposed to have, which is an enjoyable, fulfilling life, if you use it the right way. And if you don't use it the right way, it's going to create problems in your life. It really is as simple as that. And so when I started to really look into what the brain and how it works, I realized, unfortunately, that we've all been sold the wrong idea. I mean, firstly, we've never been told that this is what the brain is, and it's designed to make us, it has this purpose, and it has this ability to do that. We've never been told that, but we've certainly never been told how to drive it, how to use it. And so what happens is we go down all of these wrong tracks, we struggle, we strain, we create problems in our life, and we're confused, and we say, what's going on? Why do I have problems? Why can't I find out what I really want to do with my life? Why can't I have a great life experience? Why am I so frustrated? And that's what it comes down to. And then I discovered, or I've created a model for how the brain works, which is basically based on, there are 4 essential parts to how your brain works. And when you understand what these 4 parts are, and how they work, which is quite simple. And we can talk about that if you like, but it's very simple. But suddenly you realize what you've been doing wrong. It's like a motor car. If you've spent your life not knowing how a car drives, and you think the way to drive it is to get behind and push from behind, with all that stress and struggle and not getting anywhere, when someone suddenly comes and shows you that's not how you do it. You're supposed to sit in the driver's seat, press these buttons and levers, and then it works. Then it all becomes clear, and you can actually start moving in the right direction. So that's all to do with the brain.
Man, yeah, I think we just assume we know how to use the brains because we all have them. They all just kind of do their own thing, right? But you just like you said, it's a machine, so it's going to get out what you put into it. So, what are some physical things you can do to help your brain health? What are some things you talk about it being a machine, kind of giving it the best fuel? Do you have any recommendations for those?
Well, maybe if I explain the four parts in quite a simple way and how they fit together. And I think people who are listening or watching, the great thing is once you get this and it's quite simple, you go, wow, that's so simple. And I didn't realize that that's the way it works. Because you're right, who's ever told us about the brain? Who's ever told us the power that it has? Your brain, most of us know more about how a car works than how our brain works. It's crazy, isn't it? Or how our coffee machine works. But your brain has the computing power of 500 trillion microprocessors. It's far and away the most powerful computer that exists on the planet. And, many people have written written books about the brain, and virtually all of them have come to the last page and put on the last page, I can't believe how amazing the human brain is. I still can't get my head around it, if you forgive the pun, how incredible this thing is. So we have no idea of the almost infinite power that our brain has for one purpose: to make your life the best it can be, to make you live to your highest potential. We don't realize that. So anyway, there are four parts to the brain. I have created a four-part brain model, and this is all based on science, and have all got scientific terms and explanations, but I've broken it down into something simple that we can all understand, and more importantly, we can use. So the four parts of the brain, here we go. All right? Hit you with the four parts of the brain?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm on the edge of my seat. I got my notepad. I'm ready to roll.
Okay. So the first part of your brain, it's what I call your rational thinking brain. And the rational thinking brain is located on the top of your head. Scientifically, it's sometimes called the neocortex. There's a few other names for it. But essentially what your rational thinking brain, the purpose of it, is literally to take every piece of information that you gather through your five senses and through your thoughts, in every moment of your life, and store that information in your rational thinking brain. So that's like a database or a library of really all your knowledge, everything you've learned and picked up in your life. And this is really important because you need this information so that you can make sense of the world. You can recognize and identify things. So if you say to yourself, when you're a child, you learn that a tree is a tree. When you see a tree again, you know it's a tree, not a horse or whatever. And because of this, we can create language, we can communicate with others, and therefore we can create pictures of the world and make sense of it. But it's basically a storehouse of all of your knowledge, and not all knowledge that is, but not all your knowledge, what you've learned, what you've picked up. That's the rational thinking brain. The second part of your brain, located just below your rational thinking brain, and there's a few technical terms for this: the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus. These are different brain regions which I call your emotional feeling brain. And it's pretty obvious what this part does. It's responsible for how you feel. So it generates, through chemicals, it generates emotions. Really important part of your brain, obviously, and a part of your life experience, because it's not just about knowledge, it's about how you feel, isn't it? That's what we're really after, is how we feel. So that's the emotional feeling brain. The third part of your brain is at the back of your head, centered around your brain stem. And this is what I call your survival brain. And your survival brain, again, it's pretty obvious to imagine what this does. But this essentially looks after your survival on a moment-by-moment basis, without you having to think about it, of course. So it manages all of your bodily functions, your breathing, your heart rate, your organs, to keep you going physically on a moment-by-moment basis. So in other words, to keep you surviving. That's why I've called it the survival brain. There's another really important part of your survival brain, though. It's like a weapon or a tool to fight off a threat or a danger. Because you can imagine when you're surviving and life's going pretty well, but what happens when, say, going back to the dangerous times of cavemen, where we all came from, what happens when a lion jumps out from the rock and wants to eat you? You know, these are threats to our survival. So the brain has developed a mechanism, or a weapon, if you like, sometimes called the fight-flight response. But what happens is when your brain recognizes that there is a danger or a threat or, you know, something that could harm you or even kill you, it activates this fight-flight mechanism and you react. So you fight off the danger, you might run away or shout for help or prepare to fight or even fight. So this is a really important part of your survival brain, and it's important to remember that this is just a reaction, a non-thinking reaction to an immediate threat to your survival. That's all it is, and that's all it's designed for. So they're the three parts of the brain. Now, the fourth part of the brain, this is actually the most important part. And this is the part that really, when you use this part primarily, it's what drives your life and allows your brain to make sure that you fulfill your purpose of being the best that you can be. And it's located right in the very center of your skull, and it's what I call your creative brain. And your creative brain, this isn't anything to do with your thinking, but it's where your creativity, your imagination, your intuition, this is when you get those gut feelings and you go, oh, I shouldn't do that, or I should do that. Now, you're not really thinking about it, it's just coming to you. And, you know, so all of this intuition, this awareness, this creativity, this is also where your problem-solving ability actually really lies. You know, most of the time if you really think about what we do when we have a problem, we're often trying to figure it out and trying to work it out. And we're all stressed and we're getting all of this information and we're asking people and we're constantly trying to figure it out. And then we forget about it for a while and we suddenly get this idea that comes to us. Again, this is the important thing to remember. It comes to us. We're not getting it from anywhere. It's coming to us and we go, that's the answer. I should try that. I should do that. So this is the creative brain at work. And the really important thing to realize about your creative brain is that it's not anything to do with your thoughts, but it is the part that manages your life. And when you raise your awareness and you start using this part of your brain, and we'll talk about how to do that, because obviously that's the key, you start to realize that things like luck, coincidence, synchronicity, they're not what we call them. They're not out of the blue random events. This is part of our brain managing our life, managing our environment. All 500 trillion microprocessors are working on you to find for you create for you the best life situation possible. So this is all at work, and it's not luck, it's not luck, it's not coincidence. But the interesting thing is when you start using this part of your brain more effectively, the luck, the coincidence, the miracles, they start to come a lot more. That's what happened to me. When I got out of my disastrous state of being homeless, having to move in and sleep on the sofa in my elderly mother's living room, when I got in her small apartment, when I got out of that state and started to use my brain differently, different things started to happen to me. And it wasn't like I was struggling and chasing after things. It was like they were coming after me, and the miracles started to show up. And actually, that's when I started to realize I need to find out what's going on, you know, because I want to make sure this keeps going. I don't want to just sort of end up and think, oh, well, that was good then, but now it's all terrible again. So the important thing to realize, obviously, what we want to do is we want to learn how to activate this creative part of our brain and make sure that that's what's driving our life. And when we get problems showing up, for a start, it makes sure we have much fewer problems. We actually avoid problems. It helps us avoid problems, because remember how many of those times when you hear that little voice go, you shouldn't do that, but you still do it anyway? And you go, oh, why did I do that? Well, when you use your creative brain, you don't just hear that voice. What your brain ensures is that you take the right action, because this part of your brain is also where your motivation really comes from. So it's really important to learn how to activate this part of your brain. And just a little aside about this part of your brain, this has actually been described by peak performance athletes, artists, musicians, anybody who's ever got in that state of what is sometimes called being in the flow, like a peak performance state, a real creative state. And they describe it, athletes talk about, I don't know, you probably know more than I do about this side of it, but how there's this power and energy that takes over, and it's almost effortless. You are putting in effort, but you're getting a level of performance that is way beyond what you were ever consciously able to think you could get. And it's like something else is taking over. Musicians, composers, they talk about, I've seen interviews with well-known songwriters, and people have said to them, where did that idea come from? And they go, I don't know. It just came to me. I just heard it, just wrote it down. And that's the thing. This is the creative brain at work. And it's, when we learn how to use this, life becomes, dare I say it, magic, which is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a struggle. Struggle is unnatural. Struggle, is a sign that you're not doing things right. Problems are a sign that you're not doing things right, because struggle and problems, they don't help you live longer. They don't help you survive. They actually shorten your life and make it more miserable. So this is really important to understand. So here's the way we're supposed to live. We're supposed to be going through our life, activating our creative brain, and everything is flowing and fitting in. We're making the right decisions. We're setting the right goals. We're doing the right things. We're avoiding doing the wrong things, and we feel great. And everything about our body and our mind is working perfectly. And science has a word for this called homeostasis. Homeostasis is the state, it's the perfect functioning of the organism. It's the natural state of the organism. So that's the state, not only do we want to get it to living in, it's the natural state we're supposed to be living in. That's what we're designed to be living in. That's the way we're designed to be living our life. Feeling good, everything is working with the least amount of effort and struggle. We're achieving the best that we can, and we're just loving life and having a great experience. So that's what we do when we use our creative brain, which we're supposed to use all of the time. But there's only one time when we're not supposed to be using our creative brain. We're not supposed to be living in this perfect state, if you like, of homeostasis. And that's when a lion appears over the hill or out from behind the rock. In other words, when we're faced with an immediate threat to our survival. And what actually happens inside the brain is when your brain recognizes there is a threat to your survival or a danger, it shuts down your creative brain, and instead it activates what we talked about earlier, that survival response, the fight-flight response, so that you do what you're supposed to do when the danger's there. You get rid of the threat, and so here you are living this great life and everything. You're in the flow, you're in the zone, you're using your creative brain. Your brain is ensuring that you're the best that you can be. Then a lion comes along and your brain says, okay, stop that for a moment. We need to divert all of the energy, all of the attention, just to get rid of that danger. And as soon as we do, you can go back to being the best that you can be. And this is how it works. It does it through feelings. So your brain, it actually comes from your emotional brain. Your emotional brain is always making the decision. Is your environment around you right now, is it safe or is it dangerous? And if it's safe, if it says that it's safe, it activates chemicals that make you feel good. And it's the activation of those chemicals, those feeling good chemicals, so that when you feel happy, loving, grateful, that is what activates your creative brain, because your natural state is to feel happy and loving and grateful, remember. So that is the sign from your brain. It's switching on your creative brain, your natural state. However, if it sees a danger in your environment, it sends a different set of chemicals through your system, which activates fear. Fear, stress, worry, and anxiety. And what it does in that instant is it shuts down your creative brain and it activates your survival, fight or flight instinct. Now, here's the problem, of course. I don't know if people listening are starting to figure this out. But the problem is that when you feel fear, stress, and worry, most of the time, you're not faced with a threat or a danger, that we don't have lions running around. There's nothing out there to kill you. So why are you feeling stressed? Why are you feeling afraid? It's because your brain, you don't think there's a problem out there, but your brain does. For some reason, your brain has a belief or a connection or a signal inside itself to say, whatever's happening right now is a threat to your survival. And the real problem with that is when it makes you feel fear, stress, worry, and anxiety, it shuts down your creative brain, it activates your survival brain. But where are all your problem-solving abilities? Where's all your imagination? Where's your creativity? Where's your resourcefulness, your motivation, your clarity of thinking? It's all shut down. And this is why we know this, because people, when they're all stressed, when they're afraid of they go, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. I need to find out more. And we do stupid things, don't we? We're having an argument. Maybe I do relationship coaching as well, as you mentioned. And, we're having an argument with our wife and they tell us they want a divorce. And what do? We get all stressed and we shout at them and we make things worse and we attack them and criticize them and beg for forgiveness and all those things, which only make, so all we're doing is reacting. And it's because we're in this state where we're using our survival brain, which has no ability whatsoever to know what you want or how to achieve it, and certainly doesn't know how to solve problems either. So when we're in the state, as I say, we go, oh, I don't know what I want. And we try and figure out what we want. And we say, I need more information. We'll never do it because we're using the wrong part of our brain. It's only when we activate our creative brain that not only will we find the solution to any problem we have, our brain will find the solution as well. And things will happen and we'll go, well, that was easy. I wasn't expecting them to say that. I wasn't expecting that to happen, and it solved the problem. And I wasn't expecting this to happen. And wow, I'm now embarking on this new amazing adventure of something I never dreamt I'd be doing. How did this all happen to me? And it's the difference between using a teenage boy or girl who's only good at throwing arrows and fighting. That's all they know how to do. Using them to figure out our life and make our life the best that it can be, or a 500 trillion microprocessor computer that knows exactly what we want more than we do, or more than we think we do, and it's designed to make sure we get it. We've got that choice. So the choice we need to make is, are we going to turn the switch to activate our creative brain or our survival brain? And we do it through feelings. Am I going to feel fear, stress, worry, and anxiety, and therefore shut down my creative brain and really keep me stuck? Or am I going to find a way, and this is what I teach, essentially a way to eliminate fear from my life so that I continue to allow my creative brain to work? That is the simple answer of how your brain works and what you need to do. Now, it's simple, but is it necessarily easy to switch fear off in your life? Because we've been trained from the day we were born that life is hard, you have to struggle, there's always going to be problems. Problems are good for you. You overcome obstacles and it makes you a better person. And, you're just this person who has to struggle through life and you have to figure it all out. You have to work it out. You have to have all these plans and you have to work really hard. We've been told all of these things, but the reality is none of those things work. I know that because I tried them for a long time and I know what does work and what's worked for people I help. And when you really think about it, you can stay struggling away for the whole of your life and it's still not going to work with that approach. So we've got the choice. Either work on getting this machine right or continuing to try and push it along by brute force.
Yeah, well, I think what you're doing is so important because there's so many people that are stuck in that survival modes. I mean, it started with the pandemic and then through social media and other things, they're just stuck in that because, the saber-tooth tiger now is someone arguing with you on Facebook. It's not a physical threat, but they feel threatened and then they get into this attack mode, like you talked about, where it's fight or flight and they're just going to fight through words on the internet. And when you're doing that, like you said, you can't tap into the good stuff. So what are some of those secrets to get those kind of tapped into that creative side? Like if someone is stuck in that survival mode, which so many people are right now that I'm sure you see in your work, what's kind of the first step to get tapped into the creative side?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think one of the important things to realize is being in your survival state and not using your creative state. It's not just about, people say, well, I'm not afraid. and I'm not stressed and I'm not worried, it's not necessarily just what's on the surface. It's not this sheer terror that shuts down your creative brain. It's also our subconscious fears. And everybody, virtually everybody, has developed, again from the day we were born, irrational and subconscious fears that they can't have enough and they won't be enough and all of those things. So, if people are listening or watching and thinking, well, I'm not in survival state, you don't need to be in hardcore, full-on survival state to be activating your survival brain. But if you have a subconscious fear, and if you feel it, particularly when you're about to do something or thinking of doing something, if you feel a resistance, if you feel an anxiety at all, then you know that that is activating your survival state. So the way to deal with this, obviously this is what my work is about now, is helping people through this journey, because we've got to undo the habits of a lifetime and the knowledge, if you like, or the beliefs of a lifetime about who we are and how life works. We have to undo all that, and that's not going to happen overnight. People often want a quick fix. They say to me, okay, Liam, just tell me what to do right now to change my life. And I say, well, it's a bit like, if you had your son came to you and he was like 15 or maybe 12, and he said, Dad, can I take the car can I drive the car somewhere for fun? And you'd say, but you don't know how to drive it, son. And he'd say, yeah, okay, well, will you teach me? And he said, yeah, okay, well, we'll have some lessons. But he said, well, I really want to learn how to drive it. And I thank you for teaching me. Can you just give me a couple of quick tips now? Because I really want to go and meet somebody, 100 miles away later on this afternoon. So just give me a few tips on how I can get there in the car. And you're going to say, no, that's not how it works. It's not a one-off, bang, you've got it and off you go. You need to understand this, and you need to change a habit or learn a new habit. So essentially, the most important thing to realize then is, firstly, there are no quick fixes. This is about changing habits. It's a bit like a diet. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to change your habits, and it's not going to be easy to start with. But you start with understanding. And I think what I try and do with the brain model is help people understand so that they can see that irrespective of how they justify it, the truth is that they've got to eliminate fear and anxiety from their life. They've got to eliminate their subconscious fears. And the way to do that, well, and the reason for that, I should say, it's a bit like an analogy that I sometimes use, which is if someone came to you with a glass of liquid and said, I want you to drink this. Well, of course, you'd say, well, what is it first? And they'd say, well, it's hydrochloric acid. And you'd say, what do you mean you want me to drink it? Oh, no, drink it. It's good stuff. And you say, but hang on, if I drink that, it's going to ruin my life. And they say, no, it won't. It won't ruin your life. I mean, there's a lot of new research that says, hydrochloric acid is good for you. And you say, no, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. I know. You don't need to tell me. I understand what hydrochloric acid would do to my body, and no way I'm going to take it. And then they try the other approach, and they say, if you don't drink this, or if you don't drink this, you will lose everything. All of your friends, your family, everybody you know will disown you. You will lose all of your possessions. You will end up homeless and with nothing if you don't drink this. And you're going to say, well, I'm sorry, I don't care what the justification is. It doesn't matter what reason you give me why I should drink it. I know that if I drink it, it's going to destroy my life. And that's the same with fear, anxiety, all these emotions and all these feelings. Doesn't matter the justification, because people say to me, oh, it's all really well for you, Liam. You've got this good life. You don't have the problems that I've got. Well, I had a pretty big problem losing everything and becoming homeless and, having absolutely nothing. That's a pretty big problem.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the justification. You've got to accept first off that fear, stress, worry, anxiety are going to activate the part of your brain that is incapable of making sure that you get to where you want to be. So once you understand that, then it really becomes a simple question. How do you get rid of fear out of your life? That's all you need. That's all you need to focus on. And the funny thing, I should say, I thought when I was looking into this, I thought, where have I heard this before about fear? About fear, you've got to get rid of fear. I thought, there's a book that I've heard of called the Bible. And in the Bible, it says 365 times, someone counted, 365 times it says 3 words: be not afraid. Now, it also talks about having faith and trusting. It says things like, do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Do not worry about what you will eat, drink, or wear. It will all be provided for you, just like it's provided for the rest of nature, because that's how nature works. That's how biology works. That's how you're designed to be as well. So I thought, well, this is really interesting. We've been told this, be not afraid, but we think it's just a suggestion. It's just an idea. It's a nice thing. Well, try not to be afraid. We don't realize this is an instruction. You know, the Bible is like an instruction manual on how to use your brain. This is an instruction because what it's saying to you is when you feel fear, the emotion of fear, what it activates in your brain is the survival part, which is not designed to give you the best life, the life you're designed to have. And if you're taking the religious analogy further, if you were to say there's a God up there, well, God loves you, really wants the best for you. He's created a life of the best for you. He's created a machine to ensure that it works the best for you. He's told you how to use it. Be not afraid. But if you're not doing it right, well, what's God going to say? He's like, well, I'm sorry. What else can I do? I can't force you to use it. I've told you what to do. I've given you how, it's like a motor car. If you're not going to drive it right and I've told you how to do it, well, what can you expect? So this is really important. And really there are two, and this is the basis of all my work, is there are two types of fear, or two sources of fear, if you like. And we really need to get on to addressing these. Can I just say, the great thing about all of this is you realize life's actually quite simple. Nature is quite simple. It's going to work perfectly well if you allow it to do its job. It's only when we get in the way and we interfere and we try and, meddle around with things, that's when it doesn't work, So this is actually really simple. So I think our only mission in life is to do what the Bible says, to learn not to be afraid. And there are two ways to do that. The first, it was to look at where the sources of fear, those things that make us feel bad, where they're actually coming from. And they're coming from two places. One is outside of us, and the other is inside of us. Now, outside of us, we need to ask ourselves, what is it in my environment, in my life, that's making me feel bad? Because when you feel bad, the underlying emotion is fear. There's underlying beliefs that your brain has that are based on fear. What's causing me to feel bad, and what can I stop allowing into my environment that is making me feel bad? And it's actually quite simple. Now, some of these things aren't easy, but they are simple. You can switch off the news. You can say, I don't need to stay glued to finding out all of the doom and gloom that's going on in the world, because it doesn't matter about that. What matters is what is effect it's having on you. Because if it's if it's activating the wrong part of your brain, you're not going to be able to make any contribution to the betterment of the world, let alone your own life. So you can switch off the news. You can choose to end that conversation. If you're in a conversation with somebody and it doesn't make you feel good, you can walk away. You don't have to be in it. You can end that relationship. That might be a romantic relationship, might be a business or a personal or a family relationship, or just somebody you know, a friend. You don't have to have that relationship anymore. You can choose if it makes you feel bad. Part of your business, the job that you're in, anything about your circumstances, if it doesn't make you feel good, there's two things to realize. One is, if it's not making me feel good, I'm going to stay stuck. And if I get rid of it, my brain is going to look after me. God, infinite intelligence, my creative brain, whatever you want to call it, the part of you, your brain that's designed to bring you all of the best in your life, it's going to look after you. And you think, if I ended that, if I left my job or gave up that relationship, I wouldn't know what to do. But you would. Your brain, you don't need to know what to do. Your brain will bring it to you. That's what it's programmed biologically to make sure. And so many times we stay stuck in our life because we're afraid of making the decision we know we need to make, which is to get out of where we are, because we're not sure of what's going to happen after that, without realizing we don't need to know. We can't figure this stuff out, but our brain will, our creative brain will. So we've got all these choices we can make. They're like the hydrochloric acid sometimes. They're simple, but not necessarily easy, but on the other hand, no price is too high. The stakes are even higher, because if you stay stuck, you're never going to get to where you want to be. You're never going to live to your full potential. Your brain just simply won't be able to do it for you. So that's obviously external things, and we could talk about that for ages, really, on different things to, how you can manage your environment. But it's just worth thinking about. If there's something in your life that's making you feel bad, think, how can you make a decision to eliminate it, or at least reduce it from your life, and give your creative brain a chance to help you see things from a different perspective, and really actually find a solution to the problem if there is a problem. And the second area is, of course, what's going on inside of your head. Because sometimes we feel bad and we go, why am I feeling bad? Why am I feeling stressed and afraid? And we don't realize our brain, through our rational thinking brain and all of these ideas and this information and everything we've picked up along our life, through our life, we don't realize it has all these unconscious and usually or nearly always completely irrational beliefs telling you that something's dangerous when it isn't. And that's what is making you feel bad. So we need to get in there. And I teach a process called brain rebalancing, which is how to do this. It's not actually that hard or that complicated, but you do need to spend a bit of time figuring it out and identifying what it is that your brain is telling you that is a threat to your survival when it isn't. And you need to retrain your brain in a simple way to make it realize that it's not true. For instance, you losing all your money. Is that a threat to your survival? Well, it actually isn't, is it? Because it might turn out to be a really good thing. And it doesn't mean you're going to die. And someone's not going to kill you if you lose all your money, or if the stock market goes down, or you don't make as much money as you want to make, that causes us to feel stressed. These aren't threats to our survival. Our brain, though, has come up with a belief that it is. So maybe we picked up a story when we were younger about, people weren't happy when they were poor, or, there was somebody homeless, or, we have all these ideas that our brain has created about what are threats and what aren't threats. So we need to retrain our brain and get it to sort out and see the truth that actually none of these things are threats to our survival. And how I really learned this, and I learned it the hard way, was I realized in my old life, when I was stressed and struggling and trying to be successful and reading every book, going to every seminar, working really hard, going after every business opportunity that I had, what I realized, I was driven by two fears. One was the fear of not having enough, of losing what I had. And that continually made me want more and think, well, I'm making all this money, but I'm still can't be happy with this amount of money. I need to make more money, and the other fear I had was the fear of not being loved. And that put me into all sorts of bad relationships, both personal and business relationships, not being accepted, not being loved, maybe do stupid things. But when I lost everything, ended up on my mother's couch, where was I? I'd lost everything, and I didn't have any love apart from my mother. I didn't have any friends or romantic attachments. And my brain suddenly, when it experienced what it thought were fears, it realized there was nothing to be afraid of at all. Here I was experiencing it. It wasn't a threat to my survival. I was still there. The sofa wasn't very comfortable, but I was alive. I had some food to eat. So my brain was able to say, get rid of those fears. They're not real. They're not a threat to your survival. And when I was able to do that, that's when my creative brain could start to get to work and bring me all the good stuff.
Wow. I find this stuff so fascinating. You create these things in your head that can either ruin or really create the general life that you want. And you're I like the phrase that talk about you're most qualified to help the person you used to be. So if there's someone out there right now that maybe they've lost a relationship, they lost businesses, kids, whatever it is, that's who you can help. And tell them your website, please.
Simply liamnaden.com. It's my name.
And I'll link that in show notes. I know someone out there needs your work. I know they're listening to stuff and like, oh, I know that sounds well and good, but I'm not going to do it on my own. That's what he does for you. He's going to help you walk through that. That's what he does on a daily basis. So we need a brain trainer in our life. Like so you're given this brain at birth, but you're not given the user manual. So give you someone that can walk through that right there. So Liam, thanks so much for what you're doing out in the world. I think we all need this brain education because so many people are stuck in that survival mode, and you're helping people get out, and you're sending that message that it doesn't have to be like that. I think that's a very encouraging message that people need right now.
Yeah, it's just a tragedy that it is like that for most people through just simply a lack of understanding, It's like us all driving around cars with the brakes on and thinking, well, that's normal. but a car doesn't go very well. And suddenly someone just says you just need to release that, and it's all different. Even if everyone else is driving with the handbrake on, doesn't make it normal or natural. But we
That's right.
don't know these things until we find out.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, we could be maximize our lives. That's while we're going to be on Earth, we might as well maximize our time here and figure out what we're doing. So that's great what you're doing out there. So, do you have any parting words for the audience out there? If you could tell them with kind of one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
I think it's just to realize how we have this tendency, because we're stressed, to try and make life complicated. But if you really just spend some time out in nature and see how simple and perfect nature actually is. If you look at a bird, it just flies around. If it needs some food, it finds some food, or an insect or a plant. They're all just being the best they can be. Everything is in a perfect order. We're the only ones who get all confused and stressed and try and complicate things. You know, Confucius once said, life's really simple, but we just insist on making it complicated. So instead of being all stressed and trying to figure out solutions to your problems and try and get more information, just say, I want to go back to the basics of understanding how the machine works. And when I do, maybe the machine will help me get there in a much easier, faster, more enjoyable way. And the more that you do that, you realize it's just sitting there waiting to do that for you. Hard to believe when you're stressed and frustrated, but that's because your brain, you're using a part of your brain that isn't showing you how it actually works, how simple it actually is.
Wow, that's it. Yeah, I think so many people are stuck in that tunnel vision, and you're helping them see everything that's out there and all the possibilities out there. So if you're listening right now, please share this episode with someone that maybe you know there's someone that they think it's all over, that they've lost it all, and there's no coming back from here. Hey, Liam is living proof that it's never over, that you can retrain that brain, you can regain everything, you even have a better life than you did before. So, Liam, thanks for the work you're doing out there in the world, helping people, just see what's possible. I think that's so huge right there. So, thank you for what you're doing. If you're listening right now, please share this episode, and we'll see you guys next week on the Relentless Positivity Podcast. Wow, what a great episode. You just share that with somebody. I'm going to share with you some awesome sponsors. McWilliams Marketing. They can help your business grow. Regardless of the size of the project, you're going to get a solution that is specifically created for you and your business. No cookie cutter, one size fits approach here. So Amy and her band of fearless marketers can help you with all that stuff that you think you can do, but you're not really that good at it. You don't have time for it. They can do that. They're the experts. It's what they do. Web design, online conversion optimization, SEO, graphic design, marketing, page management, all that stuff. Go let them do that. Don't handle that yourself. Go check them out at mcwilliamsmarketing.com. See what all they can do. They're amazing people. Teek Patnick with Patnick Realty. He really does it all in the real estate world. General real estate sales, acquisitions, property management, investments, all that good stuff. You're not just a transaction with Teek. He really wants to build a relationship for life with you. He has built his whole business on prayer, hard work ethic, honesty, and results. You can trust Patnick Realty with all your real estate needs. Hey, I trust my brother from another mother, Teek, and you should too. Give him a call, 256-694-0117, or email him at teek@patnickco.com. Hey, these are awesome businesses. Go support them. They're out supporting positivity, and they will do you right. Have an awesome day.